Good morning, Miss Garcia.
Good morning, sunshine. I miss you. I could kiss you right now.
Yeah, well, someday.
Curfew is now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors.
Tensions rise as we enter the 213th week of lockdown.
A grim new reality emerges.
COVID-23 has mutated.
Beginning thermal scan. Thermal scan normal.
A horrifying new development
New
today.
data confirms the virus attacks the brain tissue.
I couldn't remember my friend's name, who I've known for 12 years.
Burning things and undercooking others, and I cook for a living.
I started putting my mascara where the toothbrush goes.
COVID-19 patients around the world have been having unsettling experiences like these, and they could be connected to the long-term effects the novel coronavirus can have on the human brain.
This is a very ingenious virus. We had for a long time thought that this was primarily a respiratory syndrome. We now know that it is a multi-system syndrome.
The virus enters the body through a protein called ACE2, which is found on the outside of cells throughout the body, including in the brain. The virus uses ACE2 as a gateway to get into the cells, hijacking them to make copies of itself. The novel coronavirus can change a person's oxygen level, temperature, and blood pressure, which can cause delirium, a serious condition causing confusion and a reduction in someone's awareness of their environment. Up to 60% of hospitalized COVID patients are reported to have this condition.
Delirium is typically the brain's way of saying that the body is not right.
A July study found confusion to be the most common brain-related symptom in COVID-19 patients who had an MRI.
I'm trying to just think.
Where was I going with this?
See, this is what happens. I get all flustered with how to word things.
The virus can also inflame the lining of blood vessels, increasing the risk of blood clots that could lead to strokes. The main neurological sign of COVID-19, though, is losing the sense of smell or taste.
I was eating and suddenly my sense of taste was completely gone, without a trace, without being congested.
There is some speculation that the virus uses the olfactory system to enter the brain and cause infection.
It's like you have a little terrorist running around in your body from your scalp to your toes, setting bombs off.
We must stop the terror. I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive. All right, we need another. Our news speaker.
You never know what's going to hit you next.
The World Health Organization says most people who get COVID-19 recover from it. But researchers say there will likely be those who have long-lasting brain-related symptoms.
Humans plan, humans think about the future in general, next week, next month, and a year. And we're having to think about just each day because we don't know what each day is going to bring.
I'm a shadow of what I was, physically and mentally.
What we do know about COVID-19 and the brain is based on incomplete knowledge, with researchers saying what they know is constantly evolving.
New data confirms the virus attacks the brain tissue.
Hey, whoa, I'm immune!
Eventually, what we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person, because you don't want people moving around the world. So eventually there will be sort of this digital immunity proof that will help facilitate the global reopening up.
Some countries are considering the use of an immunity passport or certificate to indicate that someone who had been infected with COVID-19 is now immune to the virus. From what we know right now about the tests that are able to measure an antibody response in an individual who has been infected with COVID-19, we don't know if that antibody response actually means that they're immune. These studies are currently underway. We're also concerned about the use of such a certificate because it may mean that someone who has the certificate will not adhere to public health measures that they need to continue to adhere to.
COVID Pass is a privacy-preserving and secure infrastructure for the issuance and validation of the COVID-19 Digital Immunity Certificate of Citizens. COVID Pass aims at providing the solution to the challenge of safe traveling by offering the infrastructure to certify, verify, and validate the COVID immunity. The immunity status can be achieved by an antibodies test or vaccination against SARS-CoV-2. Once the medical actions are performed, the authorized and COVID Pass platform personnel are presented with a web application in order to generate and issue the digital immunity certificate. Once the digital certificate is generated, the required data are being encrypted and stored inside the blockchain node of a private network. An encrypted QR code is generated and sent to the citizen by email. A COVID Pass e-card is generated in order to be stored inside the iOS or Android e-wallet. During travel time, airport operators' authorized personnel can utilize the COVID Pass mobile app to verify the immunity of the traveler and validate the data of the digital immunity certificate. COVID Pass aims at providing the solution to the challenge of safe traveling by offering the infrastructure to certify, verify, and validate the COVID immunity of the travelers.
Whoa, I'm immune! I'm immune!
Worldwide death toll rises to over 110 million.
All infected Americans are being forced into quarantine camps.
Sarah, what's going on?
Department of Sanitation.
Sarah, talk to me.
I think my neighbor has a fever.
It'll be so much easier if you just open the door. Mrs. Grant, you have visitors.
Sarah, please. Sarah, open that door. Sarah, do not open that door.
In most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
If someone refuses in our facilities to be tested, they have to keep staying. So they won't be able to leave after 14 days. They have to stay on for another 14 days. So it's a pretty good incentive. You either get your tests done and make sure you're cleared, or we will keep you in a facility longer. So I think most people will look at that and say, I'll take the test.
As part of our overall national response to this new outbreak, I am now directing medical officers of health that all cases, confirmed cases, are to be managed in a quarantine facility. Now, this is different to how positive cases were managed when we were last at levels 4 and indeed 3, and shows how serious we are about limiting any risk of ongoing transmission, even in self-isolation and including to others in the household. This will apply to any cases and also close family members who might be at risk as appropriate. A reminder, these facilities have been set up specifically and have excellent processes and resources in place to look after people with COVID-19, including health staff on site at all times, and it will help us avoid any further inadvertent spread into the community as part of our overall response.
I've got a number of questions about people refuse. What do we do if someone refuses to be tested? Well, they can't now. If someone refuses in our facilities to be tested, they have to keep staying. So they won't be able to leave after 14 days. They have to stay on for another 14 days. So it's a pretty good incentive. You either get your tests done and make sure you're cleared, or we will keep you in a facility long.
So, Speaker, to the Premier, where will these camps be built? How many people will be detained? And for what reasons? For what reasons can people be kept in these isolation camps? And I'd like to have the Premier assure the people of Ontario.
Member, take a seat.
Beginning thermal scan. 3, 1. Anomaly detected. Armed guards will be arriving in 4 to 6 hours. You must not attempt to leave your home, or you will be shot on sight.
This is my message to you. I know you're in there.
No, Sheila! Fuck you! Fuck you! No, Sheila! Fuck you!
Il peut plus respirer, arrête! Arrête, il peut plus respirer! Hey, non, faut pas dessus, là. Hey, faut pas dessus, là. Get the fuck out of here. Jesus, it works. You fucking make things worse. No. Yes. What are you gonna do now? Stay there. You have your shoes for the girl. You have your shoes. What? You have your shoes. Hey, c'est ça, Bernard. Come on, Jean. Hey, vous avez pas le droit de tirer sur votre maison. Je sais pas ce qui s'est passé. Vous avez pas...
Last night I dreamt about how things were.
Of every enemy of the state!
And then I woke up here.
Every little thing's gonna be alright. And remember, stay safe, sane, and sanitized.